Good morning. What's going on, guys?
Dude,
How are you?
We're pretty fired up today. All of Seattle's pretty fired up.
I bet. Like, you guys are. We said last week that this was quite a run that you guys are on. But how about this week? You got Cal beating Junior.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks are dominant. Huskies are welcoming in Ohio State. I love it.
The Mariners clinch a playoff spot, can clinch the West tonight, can be a number 2 seed, doing stuff that hadn't been done in decades and decades. And let's start there before we get to, and on top of being the top voice in college football over there at Fox and all that you do on the college football end of things and being the voice of Ohio State in many ways, at least the last 5 years, know those guys better than anybody. You also know a little bit about baseball. You were drafted to Major League Baseball. You were in the Padres organization, right? This is a game that, if I'm right, wasn't this your media break as well? Weren't the Rockies and being a sideline host and doing that kind of the start to the whole media machine?
Yeah, part of it. It was I had done high school football and then started doing college football, but then I hosted the Rockies pre and post game shows. So that's maybe why I'm so hard on Salk, just because I've sat in that seat.
Yeah,
but
that would have been fun last night.
Turned over a new leaf.
You would have enjoyed their post game show, I think, last night. That team's pretty good.
The Rockies?
Yeah.
Guys, like when I was doing their pre and post, they were doing that stupid like piggyback rotation. That's the worst organization. The Colorado Rockies are a joke. Well, and it's such a good sports town. Brock knows, like it's such a great sports town, and for that ownership group to never try is egregious. And that's why when you have ownership and a team like that does it in that sport, it makes it special, which you guys are experiencing right now with the Mariners.
Yeah, you seen any highlights of old Cal Raleigh, Joel? Because he's doing stuff that has never, ever, ever been done in the sport. And we're obviously debating.
Did we talk about this, like the switch hitter aspect? It boggles my mind. First of all, just to hit that many home runs, like I don't think people understand. Well, I know that people don't understand how difficult it is to hit a baseball. I know firsthand. I barely hit over 200. I thought I'd throw that out there just so that Salk doesn't Google me and look at Wikipedia and his extensive research.
I was curious what position
to throw shade at my average.
Second
I was
baseman?
Third baseman. Third baseman.
Okay.
Third. Mm-hmm. But to do this as a switch hitter and a catcher, like I know Ohtani is doing things that we've never seen before, but this season from Cal Raleigh is going to go down as one of the single greatest seasons that any hitter has ever had, and I think the greatest season that any switch hitter has had, and the greatest offensive season that any catcher has had. Which, I love seeing that. I love seeing the history.
We'll get to Seattle in a minute and Ohio State coming to town on Saturday. Just for a moment, though, Sam Darnold's like unbelievable so far. Brock was saying yesterday, most efficient quarterback so far in the
PFF.
league. Number
PFF
one in
grades him
efficiency.
number
And
one.
where is this coming from? What has made him so effective and so efficient?
Well, partly is that the team is just really good around him. So he doesn't have to go out and put a cape on his back and do anything spectacular for them to win. They're very good defensively, and you knew that was going to happen with Mike Macdonald. At least I always expected that to happen with Mike Macdonald because I think Mike is an incredibly bright guy on that side of the football. They run it decently well, and then their special teams were totally dominant against New Orleans. Now, I don't want to get like totally overboard because, again, we talked about this last week. We saw for 16 weeks Sam play incredible football a year ago. And then, in crunch time late, he reverted back to a guy that put the ball in harm's way. So it's still, for me, kind of a wait and see. But if they continue to play that way around him, and he doesn't have to be the best player on the field, I think that's right where he needs to sit. And he did a masterful job. Now, New Orleans has lost 9 in a row, or at least Spencer Rattler is 0-9 as a starting quarterback. So this is one of those, just grain of salt that when they were dominant, soak it in. Absolutely. I'm not suggesting that Seattle's not as good as maybe what their record is, but they should have beat New Orleans. They beat them soundly, as they should, because that organization is at the bottom of right now a rebuilding exercise with Kellen Moore as their quarterback and trying to figure out or as their head coach, and trying to figure out their quarterback position. So I was really pleased for Torrey Horton. That was really cool to see him play the way that he did. And then the thing that I think is now 2 weeks in a row is how dominant Seattle has been at the line of scrimmage, on both sides of the ball. I think that to me is the bigger aspect for the Seahawks, even more so than Darnold playing so efficient. Their dominance at the line of scrimmage is what allows him to play as efficient as he's been playing.
I think maybe a good transitioning piece to the Ohio State game will be a Buckeye, Joel, that I got to be honest with you. When they drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba, I thought he could be a really good player. I thought he could be 75 receptions, 1,000 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, just be a really good player. I didn't know if he could ever be an elite player. He's the second leading receiver in the NFL. We're watching him stretch the field, catch it at the intermediate, catch it at the deep. Obviously, everything underneath. He's unreal with his body control and short area quickness. When you called those Buckeye games, and my goodness gracious, you've called a lot of them, and you have been spoiled, and even this year, with one of the greatest receivers in college football. Did you imagine JSN could be a top 10, top 5 caliber NFL receiver at one point?
I always had questions about whether a guy that was going to be a slot guy could rise to that level. And then I had questions about his top end speed, just straight top end speed. And that was the question coming out in the draft process. But what was not in question was his technical ability as a route runner, his understanding of what he's communicating to the defense through his body posture and route running. That's part of that technical ability. His explosiveness, if you actually look at him, like lower half, man, he is built almost like a fullback. And so that explosiveness in the short area is what makes him so dynamic in the interior of the field. I thought he could be a great receiver, Brock. I really did. And I lean a lot on Brian Hartline, who's the coach of the wide receivers at Ohio State, and then all the other guys. And when he was there, it was Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. And they always said, hey, the guy that's our best player, as good as all of us are, our best player is Jackson Smith-Njigba. And so, to that end, I thought that he would be a really great player. Truth be told, and, I'm sure Seattle fans won't love to hear it. When he was drafted by Seattle, I was like, I wish he was going to go to a team that was offensive centric, passing game centric, in particular short passing game centric. So I didn't know what his volume was going to be with Seattle, but they have found the secret sauce. He fits perfectly with what they're trying to do, and he's clearly one of the better players in the league.
UW Ohio State opened up 10.5. It's now 8.5 as I'm looking at the point spread. I'm digging into this matchup a little bit more. It is truly remarkable. The last time the University of Washington lost at home, a Heward was quarterback. It wasn't Damon or Brock. It was my nephew, Sammy, back in the 2021 Apple Cup, 2021. 22, 23, 24, 25. They are 22-0 at home over their last 4+ years. You saw Ohio State. You called the Texas-Ohio State the biggest game in all of college football still from a viewership standpoint, right out the gate, week number 1. You know this program inside and out. Is there a chance the Huskies go to 23-0 and beat the number 1 team in the land Saturday?
Yeah, I think that there is a chance. I think the one thing that I would be interested in seeing is how Ohio State is going to deal with a guy that can be mobile and be a threat at the quarterback position. That's always an equalizer. There's no doubt. I think watching Julian Sayin start for the first time on the road, and it's not any road environment. I think Husky Stadium's probably the most underrated home environment in all of college football. And that win streak is proof of that. So there's absolutely a path for Washington in this game. I don't know how Ohio State is going to react on the road. If I was predicting, I think that Ryan and Brian Hartline will be more safe on offense, very similar to what they were against Texas in week 1, and see if they can lean on their defense. Now, the defense is, I would say, perfectly suited to face Washington because the defense is balanced. And while they don't have necessarily an elite pass rush, they have an elite second level. And if you're going to combat a guy that can run around and be a threat with his legs, you would have Arvell Reese at linebacker and Sonny Styles at linebacker and Caleb Downs that can come down and play the second level and spy him. So to me, that's really where the game is won and lost is how will they be able to confuse Williams? How will they be able to stop him if he starts getting loose outside of the pocket? But this is a lot of points. When it opened at 10.5, I was like, that's a lot. I'm about to record my picks and previews. I'm inclined to take those points. I don't know if Washington's going to win the game because I do think that Ohio State has too many answers. They can run it. They've got a three-headed monster at running back. I think Sayan is a very good quarterback. They've got the best player in college football as their wide receiver. I don't know if Takario Davis is going to be healthy and play. You guys might know more than I do in that regard. But he has to be on the field in 100% for them to threaten or to have a chance against that offense because he's going to have to be covering Jeremiah Smith.
Just to jump back to the NFL for a moment, what do you make of the story and just the situation with the situation with the Giants? Thank you. Yes. Rusell Wilson benched now. They're going to go with Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
What does it mean for, I guess, the Giants and Dart, but maybe more interestingly, what does this now mean for Russ and the remainder of what's left of his career?
I would assume that he's going to get released, right? I don't think he's just going to sit there. With all the wave of injuries that we've seen around the NFL at the quarterback position, I think he gets picked up. But like this is a continuation of the end that we've seen, and it's been the end since Seattle fleeced Denver. In terms of that exit from Seattle and him going to the Denver Broncos. Rusell Wilson is, at this point, not a very good NFL quarterback. And he was perfect in a time for a specific roster, and it hasn't worked out since. They're going to go with Dart. We could get into my feelings about, like, all these young quarterbacks wearing Jared Allen face paint and wearing diamond necklaces. I don't love any of that. Like, what are we doing, man? It's like you're supposed to be a quarterback. Like, one eye with eye black. Like, come on. I know I'm 43 and like yelling at the clouds, but Brock, back me up. Yeah. Like, come on, bro. You're going to stand in front of a group of grown men in a huddle with one eye slathered with eye black and be like, yo,
Joel, it's aura.
Let's go down the field. I'd be like, shut up.
Joel,
no,
it's aura.
It's not aura,
Joel.
No, it's not.
I looked at you
Crash
back
Davis
in
told Nuke LaLoosh, you've got to win 20 games before you can have mold on your shower shoes. Like I don't know, man. I'm just I'm not into it.
Oh no.
So what does it mean for the Giants? I don't know. They got a quarterback that I'm not into.
Hey Joel, true or false? Year one, you went back to the old time machine telling stories. True or false? Like the first year Salky and I are together doing radio, different little studio, different little setup. And we're talking, or it wasn't, I guess, our first year. It was Rusell Wilson's first year. So we'd been at it 2-3 years. And both Salk and I were like, really? You're doing Wranglers, jeans commercials? You're doing this stuff before you ever even like make it to
before the first game. No, it was before his first start. It was before he had ever played a game. We were like, you're doing endorsements. Tom Brady didn't do a single endorsement for like 3 years after winning 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Like, what? It was pretty remarkable even then.
And I think a Hall of Famer, Warren Moon, may or may not have called into the show and said, why don't you two just stuff it? Just settle down a little bit, you two old men. So
is Warren going to call now? Does Warren want to defend the eye black?
I don't think so.
Nah,
I don't think anyone
even
can defend.
Warren has got to be. Well, like, I think that doing an endorsement, like, are you just going to be like, no, man, like, I don't want any money.
Right.
That's what Brady did.
Like an endorsement is different.
That is what Brady did at the beginning. Honestly, for his first few years, he turned everything down until eventually I think he took Visa and some other stuff. Now, I think he's made some money over the years since.
He doesn't turn anything down now.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying anything disparaging here, but like it worked out for him.
Even a Saudi Arabia flag football league, he's not turning down now.
He's saying yes to essentially everything these days. Yeah. Joel, thank you. We know that same is true for you. You're doing this show every Wednesday.
So what was it? Was it the curveball? What was it? And what level did you hit 200? AA, AAA, where were we at?
Just my career.
Where did you get to? How high did you get?
The whole career. I played a few AA games in spring training, a few AAA games in spring training. In fact, my claim to fame, the most fun I ever had I was filling in, God rest his soul, Sean Burrows was a third baseman who's no longer with us, but he was a very good third baseman at the AAA level. And he had a sore arm. And in spring training, guys will just go fill in for guys at all levels. And so they said, hey, Klatt, go take Sean's spot in the lineup for the AAA squad for the next week while he heals up. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And he hit second. He was like a back control third baseman, which was unique, but to hit second, but he was hitting second. Well, the next day, the Padres signed Rickey Henderson to a minor league contract. And Rickey Henderson comes and he's playing on the AAA squad. Well, guess where Rickey Henderson hit? Leadoff. Let me help you, Salk.
Yeah,
I know that he was going to hit leadoff.
Yeah.
And so here I am, and I'm like, this is wild. And there's Rickey Henderson standing in front of me on a minor league baseball field. And he would turn to me and he would say, 2, 3. It's for every at bat. And that was it. And I was looking around, I was like, what? Like, what's going on? 2 what? 3 what? And then he would tap his toes and walk up to the plate. Rickey gets hits. Rickey gets hits. And he would stand, he would get in there and sure enough, he would wind up on first base. And all I could think about was growing up in the 80s, watching the Bash Brothers hit home runs and then give the forearm, at home plate.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is it. I've got to hit a bomb with Rickey on base so that he stands there, and then I'm going to come in and just like force a Bash Brothers, So I'm just like, oh, this is so good. So I am from the heels swinging on anything remotely close to the zone. Just everything I've got, double cheeking it, just like, come on, man, like you can do it, hit a home run. And he kept saying the number every at bat, or then he would be at first base. And since there's no one around in spring training for AAA games, you could hear him. The whole field could hear him, and he'd be over there leading off, and he'd be going, Rickey steals bags. And he would be saying that on the field.
Do you?
And I'm like, man, I gotta hit a home run.
Do you also have to worry that you don't want to hit a foul ball when Rickey's trying to steal? Like, I would think that would be in the back of your mind. Ooh. Like, don't foul off a steal and make him have to run back to first.
Listen, I'm going to get there.
Okay, good.
You just let me tell the story. I know I'm long-winded.
Sorry,
don't worry. Don't worry. So finally, Jeff Gardner was a manager and kind of a roving guy, and he was in the dugout. Gardy and I were close. And so I went up, and you don't call him coach, in the minor leagues. I made that mistake my first day. You call him Skip, or Gardy. It just is what it is. And so I was like, hey, Skip, why in the world does Rickey keep telling me a number before he walks up to home plate? And he looks at me and he's like, well, and this is like 3 days in, and I've been double cheeking it from the heels, anything close. And he's like, well, son, he called me son. He said, son, that's how many pitches he expects you to take so he can steal second. And I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
So I was like the running joke in the organization because I didn't allow the stolen base king of all time the proper time to steal second while he's over there saying, Rickey steals bags. Rickey gets on.
Oh,
so there you go. That's how my minor league career went.
Seriously.
And then now I'm here talking to you guys.
And now you got Gus saying, I make big calls. Just get out of my way.
Yeah, baby. Hey, he's like, I remember, this is a great one. So Gus's calls are legendary, and his timing is really good. He's technically just very, very sound. And obviously he elevates the game. But our first year, I was young, man. I've been 11 years, so I was 31. And I get that seat with Gus, and like I pinch myself, right? Like, this is incredible. And I remember a couple of games in, he's like, hey, just remember, you hit the singles and I hit the home runs. And I was like, got it. I'm fully on board with that. I'm fully on board with that.